Alright, this is take 3 of this video. It's a question and answer video. The questions and comments have been piling up, and hopefully this time my battery won't die on the camera and my microphone is on, and I'll get this one done. But first, if you haven't been to my channel before, please like, subscribe, share, comment below. It all helps the channel grow. So let's get started. The first comment I got is from Donald H. And I hope I'm in focus here. I have been wondering if Guam is considered the same as the USA. I know it is a territory, and he also wants to know if VA medical is available here. Yes, Guam is a territory of the United States. Guam is afforded all the rights, liberties, and freedoms that you would enjoy on the mainland. We fall under U.S. constitutional law, for the most part. VA medical is available here. There's a VA clinic that sits adjacent to the new Naval Hospital, and it's staffed with nurses and doctors, and you get your appointments done, you get your consults done, and they typically refer you out through what they call the community care system, which I think that system's managed in Hawaii. So if you go to your doctor here at the VA, they refer you to a local provider. It gets taken care of through the community care system. That provider bills bills VA through Tri-West Insurance directly. No problem. Okay, Jimmy J makes a comment. Earthquakes and typhoons and crazy birds, very expensive, wind for a month straight. Nah, couldn't wait to leave Guam. Earthquakes, okay, we're on the ring of fire, Jimmy. Typhoons, we live in Typhoon Alley. Crazy birds, don't know what you mean there. And very expensive. Guam is expensive. It's, if I had to explain how expensive Guam was, I could say, well, take Southern California and Hawaii, and we'd be right in there somewhere, probably just a little bit lower than Hawaii. Equal to Southern California, but I'm sure that the consumer goods and groceries in California are probably a little bit cheaper than they are in Guam. So yeah, it's expensive here. But Jimmy, I don't know what to say to you, man. You might be better suited to live in North Dakota. KDS wants to know if I could give a cost of living video in Guam and how it compares with stateside, such as my previous residence in Mississippi. Hello from Alabama. Roll Tide, baby. Anyway, KDS, I did a cost of living video many months ago, and you're right, I probably need to do another one. Since this inflation has hit us all everywhere, prices here have changed also. So, duly noted. I will see if I can't work on another update or another cost of living video. Since my last one got a lot of views, I'll get to work on another one. Thanks. Robert D says, I never saw a Rodney Dangerfield look-alike when I resided there in Guam, but you're a spitting beetle nut image. Well, I don't know about that, but I would like to know what you're drinking. Out of Time says, I don't think I'll ever go back to Chamorros will whoop you. I don't think I'll ever go back to Guam. The Chamorros will whoop you. The food is awesome though. Yeah, I gotta agree, the food here can't be beat. The selection of food here, everything you can think of. As far as Chamorros will whoop you, I'm gonna assume that Out of Time here had a bad experience here, and I'm gonna say it's directly related to attitude. Lack of respect for culture, the people, the island. It's gonna get you in trouble here. You show a lack of respect in the Philippines, you're going to wind up in trouble there too. It's no different. This is Southeast Asia. And I'll give you a good example. A couple of years ago, I took a job, a short-term job, with an engineering firm here. One of the guys I worked alongside with was, he was a dependent of a military woman here, and he was a California surfer dude. And a millennial, 30ish to early, maybe 30 years old. And I can remember the first few days talking to this guy, how he would talk about how he felt like he was being shut out in the Guam surfing community. There's only a few good surfing spots on the island, and there's a hierarchy. You know, if you're a local, you're going to rank over any haole. But to show up here with an attitude and expect to catch a wave, break up a bunch of locals and catch their wave, and then, you know, if you come here and show disrespect and sow discord, you're going to get your ass whooped, and you probably deserve it. So, you know, my thing is, you know, if you're going to show up here with a California attitude or any kind of attitude, just don't come. It's that simple. This is Southeast Asia. Might be America here, but it's still Southeast Asia. And that's what a lot of us haoles do like about this culture here. We can experience America and the culture every day in, day out. Enough said there. Okay, Mike A, have you ever thought about doing some work documenting the more seedy side of life on Guam, like litter, homelessness, crime? Is it a problem? It's a problem everywhere, Mike. There's crime spiking here. There's crime spiking everywhere. We have a crackhead problem here. We have a crystal meth problem. And anytime you have a portion of the population that is drug dependent, you're going to have petty theft and robberies and break-ins. Does it happen a lot? I think if you look it up online, the rate of crime in Guam is probably less than any major city in the United States. And the big reason for that is, you commit a crime here in Guam, where are you going to run to? There's no place to go unless you can swim really, really good. Litter, another issue here, which I think is a bigger issue, because Guam is reliant on tourism dollars to make things go here. And when you trash your island out and expect tourists to show up, you know, it's very counterproductive. And I'm going to further say that I think it's just like in the Philippines. The littering and pollution problem is directly related to education. The touristy areas stay fairly clean because there's a lot of pressure to keep those areas clean. But if you get off the beaten path out in the jungle, you're going to find trash. Need an airplane engine? Washing machines, sofas, and abandoned vehicles. And I will say that the mayors and the mayor's council here is working diligently to try to solve this abandoned vehicle crisis. I've noticed a lot of vehicles have been picked up, moved. Where they're putting them, I don't know. Where do you put abandoned vehicles on an island? You can't make them disappear. So yeah, crime, litter, drugs, it's all here. Does it bother me? No. Jeff L. says, Guam just seems like a bland, characterless place. Once you've seen one coconut tree, you've seen the lot. Yeah, I would have to agree that one coconut tree looks very similar to another. But when you're speaking of character, I have no idea what you're talking about. This island has just about every ethnic group that you can imagine. Filipino, Korean, Japanese, Singaporean, Russian, British, Australian, American, Indonesian, Pacific Islander, Indian. I mean, when you say characterless, what are you referring to? I have no idea. Everybody assimilates here on this island really well. The Chamorro culture is strong here, and everybody assimilates into that culture very well. And they bring a little bit of their own culture with them. So yeah, there's a lot of character on Guam. I think maybe you and Jimmy probably should get together in North Dakota there. I'm just saying. I don't know who this is, but he's asking me how much a massage costs on Guam. Well, for me, I pay $45 for 1 hour sweetest massage or a deep tissue massage. If I want anything extra, like scalp, foot, no, I'm not talking happy ending. I'm sure you can get that too, but it's $45. If you want a little add-on, then it costs a bit more.
That's what she said.
Now, if you go to some of the more touristy areas, some of the bigger hotels here, you can see massages upward of 90 bucks, 100 bucks, 120 bucks. As a matter of fact, I hope my wife doesn't see this, but I got her a massage for Christmas. I paid 150 bucks, but it's a spa package, but she'll be happy. Now somebody probably got to tell her how much I paid for it. Michael from San Mateo. Me and my wife like to know why you left the Philippines. Well, Mike, I think I've done several videos about that, but in a nutshell, there's a couple reasons, and they all kind of fold together. Living in the Philippines for about 4 years, Terry lost her residency in the United States, so we're here in Guam reestablishing residency. As we've been living here, we've determined that Guam is a better fit for us for a lot of reasons. There's a lot more things to do: bowling, fishing, all that kind of stuff, sporting events, Zumba classes, movie theaters. We didn't have all that in Samar. And to top it all off, medical care is a big issue for us. We've got free medical care here, so. But if you want to catch up, go back and look at some of the other videos. Daryl asks about the cost of living videos on Guam. Well, I did one, Daryl. It's been a while, but he wants to know the cost of living on Guam without drone expenses. He's referring to putting one drone in the ocean and probably crashing another drone on top of a hotel here. But yeah, without those expenses, the cost of living in Guam is still pretty expensive. I should do an update because of this runaway inflation. I think I'll do an update and do some price comparisons. How's that? So thanks for that suggestion. He also says at 62 he'll get about $3,200 a month, and is that enough to live on Guam? Yeah, I think you could do just fine. You just get you a studio apartment here, a little vehicle, one of the little Daihatsu trucks, beach vehicles I call them, and you can do well on by yourself on $3,200 a month. And there's a lot of little part-time jobs here. If you feel the need, you want more money, just pick up a little part-time job somewhere. His budget in the PI is $1,500, so yeah, you do well here. You do okay here on Guam at $3,200 a month. Brad H, he wants to know what that construction going on, that scene from a drone video I did. Brad, that's Don Quixote, Japanese mega superstore. They are building a Don Don Donkey, which is a version of their main outlet. I understand there's like 7, 8, or maybe even 9 Don Don Donkeys throughout the Pacific region. The one in Guam under construction is going to offer 270,000 square feet of retail space. That's big. And it will be open, I think the target date is June of next year, 2023. They've been working on it for a year and they've got a ways to go. Hopefully they'll get ahead of schedule. But it will be good for Guam. It'll put some, as I say, competition is healthy. It'll put some pricing pressure on Kmart, definitely, and some of these other local stores. So we can't wait. Philippine Life Adventure asks, what part of Mississippi did you live in? We lived in Tupelo, All-America City. Voted All-America City 5 times, I think. The only city in the United States to be voted that honor more than twice. It was a good place to live and work and retire from. Why is Guam so expensive? This is a question. Guam is expensive because it sits at the end of the supply chain. You've got the West Coast, you've got Hawaii, and you've got Guam, and then you got Palau and the Northern Marianas. So the shipping cost to get stuff out here is very expensive, and the price of shipping containers has quadrupled over the last year. And I think a lot of it has to do with, there's also this thing called the Jones Act of 1920, also referred to as the Merchant Mariners Act of 1920. And what this law did is basically say only U.S. built and flagged vessels can service U.S. ports. and I guess it's designed, the law provides protection for crew members and the environment, but it doesn't do anything good for pricing. Guam would be better served, I think, if we could allow some ships to come in here from Taiwan, Philippines, China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan. They could help flood our market with lower cost items because the cost of shipping would be a lot less. It would be good for Guam. We just need to get out of this protectionist mode, I think. But that's what's driving the prices here. Paul C. Does Medicare work on Guam? The straight answer is yes. I use Medicare. I avail of it since I turned 65 2 years ago. I know many people on Guam that use Medicare. Since COVID, there has been at least 6 people that I know of that have left the Philippines, Vietnam, maybe one from Singapore, and just recently, last week, we met a couple from an American and his Thai wife coming from Thailand. They're all here for Medicare. You will read a lot on these expat forums that, medical care is cheap overseas and in Southeast Asia. It's, yeah, if you got a cut and need some stitches or you need to get your blood pressure checked or something like that, yeah, the costs are cheap. But when you need major surgery, if you need heart surgery, spine surgery, hip replacement, it's going to get pretty expensive because the only places you can do these things with any certainty of quality is probably Manila, Cebu, Bangkok, Singapore. And in most cases, if you don't have insurance, they're going to want some money up front. And if you don't have no money up front, you're out of luck. So a lot of these guys are realizing, as they get older and their need for medical care increases, they're coming back to U.S. soil. A lot of these people have been paying their Part B medical out of their Social Security check for years. Now they can use it. They're coming back to Guam. Medicare is a cost share thing. What I remember, it's 80% and 20% is paid by, cost share, or if you have a supplemental plan or a gap plan, that covers your cost share. So for some guys, it's no money out of their pocket, which beats trying to, raise money in the Philippines for a heart problem or whatever. It can get expensive there. Let's see here. Now this is going to take me off on a little tangent, and I occasionally throw a tirade about this. And for some of you that have read my blog for 9 years, I've really harped on this a lot, and it's about believing in everything you find online in some of these expat forums. And a good one is the Medicare issue. Let me see if I can find out what this guy says. This one individual was asking about Medicare working on Guam, and this fellow by the name of Carlos, I won't say his last name, he says, and I'm quoting, "Medicare isn't international. It won't work in Guam or in Saipan, although they're a U.S. territory. They are 2 different systems, just like in banking. If I lost my bank card," I'm not even going to go on. I'm not even going to, the guy's wrong. He just flat out couldn't be any more wrong. As a matter of fact, somebody needs to flag his comment on that Facebook forum, Philippine Expats forum, with a bunch of red X's and tell him he's wrong and stop giving advice because he don't know what he's talking about. I'm on Guam. I use Medicare. I know a lot of people on Guam that use Medicare. And the banking system here it's a U.S. banking system, complete with FDIC and all that, all the privileges therein. And then you get guys like John N. When asked about what's the best place to live in the Philippines, he suggested Angeles City. Well, I got nothing wrong with Angeles City, but the reason he suggested Angeles City is because there's no typhoons. I'm the first one that's going to harp on this because I spent 25 years in the weather forecasting business, or the weather business, with a little bit of an oceanography background. I know typhoons go through Luzon. I worked in a Cuby Point Naval Air Station in the 80s, and we tracked many a typhoon over the island of Luzon. So for him to say that there's no typhoons that go through Angeles City, again, another flat-out ill-advised person that shouldn't be even on social media giving information or providing information. Just shut the hell up. If you want information on the Philippines, if you get it straight from the horse's mouth, in other words, if somebody's telling you, I know this to be true because I'm in this situation and this is what I experienced, and if you're in that same situation, then you can pretty much bank on that information being more accurate. Otherwise, stay away from that stuff, and take most of what you see and read online with a grain of salt. Look to official sources for your information. The Bureau of Immigration, PAGASA, the Bureau of Animal Industry, BIR, Bureau of Internal Revenue, Philippines. Look to these official agencies, although they're in a perfect world, they'd have their updates and ducks in a row and their websites all up to date, but it's the most reliable and accurate information you're probably going to get. Enough of that. That rant's over. Well, I think I've covered it all for this video. So I'll continue to collect your questions and comments. For anyone that has a burning question or a desire for a consult, you can join us on Patreon, and I'd be more than happy to spend some time with you answering all your questions. Free consultations on Patreon. So until my next video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, do all those things that help our channel grow. Thanks, and see you later. Oh.